Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm so excited to be here with y'all today. My name is Carrie Wickerman, and I am the founder of Create Your Balance with Literacy. And thanks for everyone who's hopping on and commenting. If you'll comment where you're from, I would really love to see what state or country you're from and perhaps what grade you teach. That would be amazing. So, I hope you're enjoying this lovely spring weather. Here in Texas, we're having a lot of hot weather. So I can tell spring is on the way and almost ready for summer. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of counting down the days till summer. I think I counted something like, 40-something days, maybe till the end of school. So I can't believe it's already the end of the year already. I mean, where did the time go, right? It's just crazy. So, just a couple of housekeeping things before we get started. Hold on one second. We are going to be talking all about nonfiction text today. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I teach research and informational texts, procedural text, and persuasive text. Okay? So, if my face freezes on the webinar, don't freak out. It's okay. My voice will keep going. I live out in the country, so my Wi-Fi is really slow. And so hopefully my face will unfreeze and I will come back on. And so if the broadcast is interrupted, which I hope it's not, just stay on the Facebook group with me and I will hop back on together. Okay, so just stay tuned. Hopefully that won't happen. Fingers crossed. Okay, you guys can ask questions anytime during the webinar. You can answer each other's questions if you want. So let's get started. For those of you who are new to our group, my name is Carrie Wickerman, like I said, and I've been teaching for 22 years, and I have taught 5 years in third grade and 17 years in first grade. I have been the team leader for my team for about 10 years now. I have been a job-embedded trainer. I give trainings in my district for math workshop, readers workshop, and writers workshop, behavior management, guided reading. I've been on the ELA vertical team. I was a curriculum writer. I was Teacher of the Year in 2009. I am a Seesaw ambassador, and on the weekends, I am a flute and piano instructor on Saturdays at my house. So I'm a musician on the side as well. So these are pictures of my team. At the bottom, we had a reindeer day back in December. We all dressed up the same, had matching T-shirts. And then these are pictures of my family. I have 2 daughters, Kennedy and Presley, which you'll see a lot of pictures of in this webinar. And then my husband, Jonathan, teaches. He's a band director at one of the middle schools here. So I teach in a rural town in Boerne, Texas, which is north of San Antonio in the Texas Hill Country. So here's what we're going to learn today. I'm going to give you an intro and a training overview. I'm going to show you how to connect with me on different platforms if you're interested. I'm going to share with you some teacher testimonials for my store and my products. I have a YouTube video of my classroom. If you would like to see a video of my classroom up close, then you're welcome to download this later on. I'm going to post this webinar in the Facebook group. And you can download it later on, and then you can listen to all the videos that are on here, and you can click on any pictures. It'll take you straight to the resources if you're interested. I have exciting news for an upcoming webinar in May. I'm going to share with you what you can win today. So if you're commenting, which a lot of you guys are already, so that's great. If you're commenting, then you might get chosen to win 4 different resources. I have 4 different ones for you to choose from. So I'm going to share with you what those are in just a minute. Oh, we've got teachers from Ohio and Maine and Alabama. Woo, that's great. All around the United States. I'm going to share with you how I store my nonfiction units and my mentor text organization, materials and supplies that you'll need for these units. I will share with you how I teach my procedural text, my informational text, my research, my persuasive text, and then more webinars if you're interested in downloading any more and looking at them and listening to them. I'll share with you some more how you can do that, and then classroom newsletter templates if you need anything, and then if you need a certificate today of attendance, then you can message me after the webinar is over, and I will send you a certificate. Just make sure you have your full name on there so I can make sure I spell your name right. So this is my TPT store. If you're interested in looking at my store, you just click on my picture here. I have resources from thematic units to linking literature story companions, guided reading resources, math workshop resources, all kinds of great stuff. I love writing craftivities, and I feel like that's my niche. So if you're interested in more writing craftivities, you can check it out. And then, of course, you're in my Facebook group, or you wouldn't be here. But you can also invite your teacher friends to join us if they're not in our group. I love to have you invite new friends and new teachers to our group. You can follow me on Pinterest and Instagram, and I have a YouTube channel that you can follow me on, and my blog. And I'm very excited about my newsletter. If you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, every Sunday I send out a newsletter that has freebies and a dollar deal and a BOGO, a blog post, a YouTube, my lesson plans for the week, and my tip for the week. So I always put my lesson plans on the newsletter too, so you can kind of see what I'm teaching and how I teach it and what mentoring text that I use for the specific skills. And so you're welcome to subscribe to my newsletter if you haven't. And these are some teacher testimonials you can read later at your own time. They just talk about my resources and how they've helped the students and helped the teachers with their time management. And then this is the picture you can click on for my classroom tour. Okay, and this is exciting news. So in May, I'm going to give another webinar about fairy tales and how to host a fairy tale ball. Okay, so that's going to be in May. I'm not sure the date yet, but just stay tuned in the Facebook group, and I'm going to send you an invite for the next one in May. So I'm going to share with you how I do my process writing for fairy tales, my fairy tale theme center, how I host a fairy tale ball, how I get all of that ready, and how the students get to dress up as their favorite character, and they read their story to the parents. So it's very exciting. So I'm excited about this one. So you guys don't want to miss this fairy tale one. It's going to be really good. So Tuesday and Wednesday, TPT is having a sale. I'm not sure if you guys know about this. So you could save up to 25% off if you purchase any resources Tuesday and Wednesday. My whole store is 20% off today, and today through Wednesday. Okay, so you guys can check that out. And all the resources that I'm giving away for free today are 50% off. So if you don't win, you can check those out too. And it's just in time for Easter. I have a lot of great Easter stuff in my store. So you might want to check out the sale on Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, so these are the resources that I'm giving away today. I'm going to share with you how I do all of these resources. I'm giving away my Endangered Animal Research and Writing unit. It's called Almost Gone. And in that unit, it has writing craftivities, research templates, how to make a lap book with your students. It has all the different endangered animals that they can choose from to write about. It has mentor texts, it has lesson plans, all that good stuff in there. Lots of writing stuff. So you can win that one, or you can win the Linking Literature, The Great K-Pop Tree. I love The Great K-Pop Tree. It is one of my favorite mentor texts to read for persuasive writing. So in this one, you also have writing craftivities, you have interactive notebooks, and you have a persuasive writing craftivity that you can do with your kiddos. And then you can also win from tadpole to frog, or from caterpillar to butterfly. So I know a lot of you guys are getting ready to do life cycles, which I am too, and I'm very excited about life cycles. So you could win the tadpole to frog or caterpillar to butterfly. So if I call your name in just a minute, then you can message me, or you can tell me in the comments right here, tell me which one you would like to win. Okay? Now, the life cycle one, they have lap books, they have writing craftivities, they have interactive notebooks, they have anchor charts, they have mentor text, all that good stuff, lesson plans as well. If you don't win, you can download this webinar and you can click on these pictures later on. It'll take you straight to the resources, okay? So I'm going to start with my first winner. Oh my goodness. Okay, my first winner is Jennifer Arick Angel. Jennifer Arick Angel. I'm sorry if I am not pronouncing that right, Jennifer. Okay? Jennifer Arick Angel. So, Jennifer, you can link right here. You can tell me which resource you would like to win, okay? Congratulations. All right, so we're going to move on to the units that I teach nonfiction texts. So, I teach about rainforests and insects and plants, life cycles, Earth Day, endangered animal research, okay? So all of these different units are my thematic units that I teach with nonfiction text. And inside of all of those units, I also have informational text, research, procedural writing, and persuasive writing, okay? So those are just some ideas that you can choose from. This is how I organize my mentor texts in my classroom. So I got these big tubs from Walmart online, and they're storage bins, and they come in all colors. And then I made these labels to put on each bin for my thematic units. So for example, I have a bin just for rainforest mentor text. I have a bin for plants, just life cycles, winter, Easter, Valentine's Day, presidents, Native Americans, October, fall, all that stuff. I have all of those labeled. So if I teach a unit, I can just go back there in the back of my room, I can grab the tub and I can bring it to my desk, and then I can plan. It helps me plan out my lessons. Helps me think about which book, which mentor text is going to go with what skill that I'm going to teach, okay? And there's so many different skills you could use for each book, but of course, you know, we all have our favorites, right? Like I said, I love the Great Kapok Tree for persuasive writing, so that's how I organize my thematic units. Now, if you look at the bottom right here where my mouse is, these clear tubs, this is how I organize my workshop mentor text for math, reading, and writing, okay? So, and I have dividers inside those tubs, and I have different skills that I divide the books into. For example, for writing, writer's workshop, I might have just one for adjectives and nouns and verbs, onomatopoeia, pronouns, etc. For math, I might have dividers for geometry, time, measurement, addition, subtraction, so on and so on, okay? For reading, I might have text-to-self connection, text-to-text connection, text-to-world connection, author's purpose, cause and effect, synonym, antonym, so on and so on. So I have different dividers in the tubs, and it just keeps me organized so I can find my mentor text quickly. Because I know we've all been in a situation where you have this awesome lesson planned, and something happens where you get distracted and you forget to find the book to read, and then you're like, oh my gosh, where's my book? Or you have to look it up on YouTube because you can't find your book. So this is just a way for me to stay organized. I like to have organization as much as I can, so I don't freak out or stress out over where my materials are. So that's just me. This is how I organize my thematic units. So I have these binders, and I'm still old school because I like to use the masters, the paper masters. So when my team plans, I just grab the binder that I need and I take it to the planning meeting, and then I pull out the papers that we need to copy for the team or whatever. And so I have all of those prepared in the binder. I also use Google Drive, but you know, sometimes technology is not our friend. And so I like to have the masters just to have a backup plan, you know, because you never know if technology is not going to work the right way. So this is also a resource I have in my store. You can click on it later and it'll take you to, I have a thematic unit binder cover pages. And they're for each month and a lot of different thematic units, and you're welcome to check that out. These are the materials that you'll need for the nonfiction units. You will need construction paper or cardstock of assorted colors. If you want to make these writing craftivities, then you'll need some construction paper. You'll need these writing templates I'm going to share with you. For mentor text, you can use Rainforests, Easter, Endangered Animals, How to Make, Books, Plants, Life Cycles, and Earth Day. Okay? You need interactive notebooks pages. I use 4 different interactive notebooks: reading, social studies, science, and math. So you can use those for your journals. I have research booklets that you can use. You can also use the colored file folders that they have at Walmart or Staples. The colored file folders I use for lap books. If you love skill cards, if you like to put skill cards on your pocket chart, like first, then, next, last cards, I'll share with you some cards that I use for that. You might want to have a bulletin board if you want to display all these cute little writing craftivities. Then you might want to have a bulletin board to display. And the kids just love it when you display their work. My theme center I have is for Rainforest. I'll share with you what that looks like. And of course, your book boxes, your labels, your anchor charts, pocket charts, devices, headphones, binders, and cover pages. So this is my library. Now, this is different than what I showed you before. This is the library where my kids go to read. Okay, my classroom library. I have it sorted with genres on one side, and then level A to level O on the other side. But I'm not going to talk about those bins right now. I just want you to look at the top on the wall. These posters on the wall are my genre posters. And I have a couple of resources that have genre posters in my store. And so I have a poster for informational text, for procedural text, for persuasive text. And every time I teach a new genre, I go over to the wall and I take down the poster that I need, and then I will read it to my class. And so they know what the genre is that we're talking about. And I keep all these genres on top of my library so they can refer to them later if they need to. And some of them just like to stand there in the library and they just like to read all the posters, because that's part of one of my centers is read around the room, and they love to read those posters as well. So I'll be sharing with you some of those posters later in the webinar. Oh, well, here's one right here. So this is an example of my procedural text skill card. And so it just describes what a procedural text is: a text that goes in sequence using first, then, next, and last. You could use recipes, instruction manuals, and science experiments. Okay? So like I said, I take that off the wall and I put it on my pocket chart. If you're doing procedural texts, inside my resources, I have sequence cards. So for example, if you wanted to do how to dye Easter eggs, okay, then you could laminate these and cut them apart. You could put them on your pocket chart, and then the kids can each have a card, and then they can stand in front of the room and in order, and then the kids can decide what goes first, what goes then, what goes next and last and finally. And then you can talk about the sequence of how to dye eggs. Now you can use this with how to dye an Easter egg, how to catch the Easter bunny, how to make pancakes, how to make hot chocolate, how to make cupcakes. And so these are some examples for my writing craftivities that I use for procedural text. I love teaching about procedural text. So how to dye an Easter egg. After the kids decide the order of how to dye Easter eggs. Now, some of these kids have never done that before, so you might have to kind of coach them a little bit. Or you could read the story called The Easter Bunny's Assistant. You know the story with the skunk and the Easter Bunny. And the Easter Bunny is trying to dye eggs, but the skunk is smelling way too bad, and the Easter Bunny gets kind of upset with him and makes him stand outside. So he can't dye Easter eggs with the Easter Bunny. But at the end of the story, they have a recipe on how to dye Easter eggs. So you could use that story to use this craftivity. There's 2 different ones here. They can write first, then, next, last inside their template. they can use that information then to write on their writing craftivity. They can make an Easter egg here, and you can click on the picture. It'll take you straight to the resource, and then, or you could write about the Easter Bunny's assistant here at the bottom with the skunk. Super cute. So you can have them write about that 2 different ways, or you can write about how to catch the Easter Bunny. There is a story by Adam Wallace. You guys probably know how to catch the Easter Bunny, and so you could have them write about that as well. So a lot of different examples. And then you can also have them write about recipes. I have a kitchen in my classroom. I have a farmhouse kitchen, and I got some play food from Melissa and Doug. So, for example, the taco up here in the left-hand corner, I have a play set about how to make a taco from Melissa and Doug. You know, the wooden pieces that they put together to make a taco. And so my kitchen in my classroom is all about procedural text. They have to write a recipe, how to make a taco, or how to make a pizza, or how to make an ice cream cone. And so I have all those different bins of the different food they can play with. They can sort the sequence cards on the pocket chart, and then they can write their recipe. So that's what they can do at centers, but then as a whole class, we then write about how to make a taco. And so we did this, the taco one we did about 3 weeks ago, and they had so much fun. I read the story, Dragons Love Tacos, and they love that story. So you could do that. That's a great lesson. How to make pancakes is fun. You can read Pancakes by Eric Carle. How to fly a kite is really fun. Some kids have never flown a kite before. Or you can write about, this little chef girl is in all of the resources. If you click on any of the procedural resources, she is in that resource. And then it's a blank template, so you can have them do whatever recipe they want. There's a chef boy and a chef girl in the resource. Okay, here's some more. How to make lemonade. And then how easy is it to make lemonade with your class? I mean, that's easy. You could have them write about that, or have them write about how to make a cupcake, how to make s'mores, how to make chili. A lot of this stuff you can do in the classroom, and you can actually start making it with the class while they're watching you make it, and then they can kind of think about the procedure, and then they can eat it. That's the best part. Back in the fall, we made s'mores. We made a solar oven to put outside in the sun with a box and the saran wrap on the top, and we made a s'more, and we talked about the different ingredients that goes in the s'more, and then we wrote about it. We made the craftivity, and then they got to eat it outside, and they thought it was the best day ever. You could also make chili. Chili is super easy. You can get a can of chili. You can get beans. You can use Texas chips or any corn chips that you want, and make a Frito pie with the chili, and then you can have them write about the ingredients that you use for the chili in the crock pot. So it's however much time you have to dedicate yourself to these fun projects, but you don't have to make the food with your class. I don't always have time to do that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'd love to all the time, but time is of the essence, so there's not a lot of time. But you can also have them watch a YouTube if you want to make it at home and record yourself, and then show them your video. That would work also. All right, so moving on to informational text. Informational text is expository, which is nonfiction, culture and history, magazines, research, procedural, recipes, science experiments, persuasive, advertisements, and news articles. So informational text is kind of like the overview of everything, okay? So I show them the genre card. Again, you can click on the picture that goes straight to the resource. Now, when I'm talking about nonfiction texts, I give them this template. And it says, my nonfiction book, and then they write the title at the top. My book has, and so they check off the boxes. They have to have a nonfiction book, so they could check one out from the library or from your class library, or you can give them a book to look at that has specifically table of contents, glossary, index, bold words, captions, labels, diagrams. Okay, for example, a lot of nonfiction, like Gail Gibbons has a lot of nonfiction books. They don't have table of contents or glossary, but they do have captions and they do have diagrams. Okay, so you can just be creative and give them a story, and they're going to check the boxes. And then it says illustrate your favorite nonfiction book that has all of these text features. Then they draw a picture at the bottom of their nonfiction book. Okay, now this is a freebie, so you can click on the picture, and it's in Google Drive, and then you can get it for free if you would like to have it. This was also in my newsletter today, so if you missed the newsletter and you forgot to look at it, this is also in the newsletter. Okay, so under informational text, I talk about Rainforest. I love, 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 love Rainforest. That's one of my favorite thematic units. Oh my gosh, you can do so much. Under Rainforest, you can do plants, you can do habitats, life cycles, interdependence, okay? All of these different skills that you can bring in, and persuasive as well. I use the persuasive part to that goes under Rainforest. So these are some great Rainforest books that I usually read. I love, like I said, The Great Kapok Tree is my favorite. We're Roaming in the Rainforest. Jan Brett, The Umbrella is great. Who is the Beast? That's great. Welcome to the Greenhouse by Jane Yolen. That's great. So all of these books are great for nonfiction, teaching about the rainforest and their habitats. Okay, and so then this is my theme center. In my theme center, I have a big bulletin board at the top that has all of the animals from the rainforest. Okay, and then I have games, like I have puzzles. I have animals, like little plastic animals they can play with that are from the rainforest. I have a basket of plastic fruit. I have stuffed animals that are toucans, monkeys, sloths, all kinds of different animals they can play with. There's puppets, puzzles, all different things. And then I have these diagrams right here, these rainforest dioramas. Not diagram, diorama that we have made in the past, which I'll share with you in just a minute. So having a rainforest theme center is really fun. And then I have a template that they fill out that they illustrate their favorite part of the center, and then they write about it. So we do a writing craftivity, which is actually, it covers two parts. It covers informational and persuasive. They show the different layers of the rainforest. I have labels, and then they make the trees and the tops of the trees with their construction paper. And I just give them free roam of this, because sometimes the kids need to just create without you telling them you have to do it like this and like this and like this, okay? You can tell them this is what it should look like at the end. You can give an example, but then they can cut their trees, the tree trunks. They can cut the leaves. They can decorate the leaves however they want. So they can make the grass, whatever. And I kind of give them free roam of that. So they really have a lot of fun making those trees. And then I give them the animals. They color the animals, and they stick the animals on the different layers of the rainforest. So there's the emergent layer, the canopy, the understory, and the forest floor. Okay? So we do that. And then we write a persuasive story about how to save the rainforest. But in the persuasive story, you have to give facts. Okay? So I have a couple of templates that we use. Oh, let me skip this one real quick. Well, I'll show you in a minute. But we have a template that I use that talks about the reason number 1, reason number 2, reason number 3 that we use persuasive. So I'll share with you what that is in just a minute. All right, this is the diorama, and I have a resource in my store that shows you step by step by step how to make a rainforest diorama. You could use this as a home project. So they take the tissue boxes or shoe boxes, they spray paint them, and then they use toilet paper rolls, they spray paint the rolls, and they make the tree that goes through the hole. They make the tree that sticks out the top for the emergent layer. And so they can get plastic animals to glue on the diorama, or they can make just paper animals if they want, to glue the animals on the different layers of the diorama. I like to get the greenery from Walmart, the little ferns, and then just cut them apart and then hot glued them onto the box. So you can see at the bottom here how I glued the tree, how it sticks out the top, and then the 3 different layers on the bottom there. So then I glued those animals in, the layers, and then when my daughter Kennedy was in 1st grade, she was in my class, we made this together as her home project. So she and I had a great time making this project. It was so much fun. So in the resource, you click on the picture, it'll take you there, and then there's a foldable that the kids can fill out. It's the 4 layers of the rainforest, and it has the 4 different flaps. The flaps open up, and then underneath the flap they write a sentence about the layer, or they draw a picture of it, or whatever, and then they can glue that onto the side of the diorama. So that's really fun. Okay, so another unit that I use under Rainforests, under Nonfiction Informational, is plants. Okay, so there's a lot of great stories about plants. How to grow seed. Let's see, the reason for a flower. A tree is a plant. Plants for kids. The magic school bus. The tiny seed. My garden. And a lot of great nonfiction stories about plants. So you can have them label the parts of the plant. You can have them write different informational text about plants. One thing that we do is we grow a sunflower. And so I have these templates, the little greenhouses that I cut out. They cut out, and then they plant a couple of sunflower seeds in a baggie, and I hang them on the window. And let me tell you something. Sunflower seeds, if you have never planted sunflowers, they grow so fast. I mean, it is amazing. Like, if I plant them on Friday, by Monday morning, you can already see the shoots coming up or the roots coming down. It's amazing how fast they grow. So I put cotton balls inside the bags, and then I spray some water in there from a spray bottle, and that's really all you got to do. And then put them on the window so the kids can observe the sunflowers every single day, and then they have a seed journal that they write in every single day. They label the parts of their seed, how it changes, and they write about it and draw pictures in their journal. So this is also a resource you can click on. It's my thematic unit, and it has different writing craftivities. It has how to grow a watermelon in the tall grass, and how does your garden grow, and then they can label different vegetables, fruits and vegetables. You can also read tops and bottoms, which is a really cute story. Okay, so those are some ideas. This is what the journal looks like inside. Here's a page from inside. So I think I have 10 pages that we observe the sunflower seed for 10 days. And then they can take it home, or we plant them inside of a cup with soil. By then, those little sunflowers, they're probably about this big. They have lots of leaves and shoots on them. And then we plant them in a cup, and then we decorate the cup for Mother's Day. And then those plants go home for Mother's Day. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1 project. Okay, but you can see here on this page it says day 3. And so he's writing about, I think that my sunflower has a big sprout. And so he labeled the parts. He has the root, the seed, the little stem, the cotton ball, and then he labeled the parts of the plant in his journal. So that's something that we do every day to observe. So that's something great you can do for life cycles as well. Speaking of life cycles, I love to compare and contrast different life cycles. I love to do the chicken and the frog, the ladybug, the butterfly, and the plant. Okay, those are the big 5 things that I use. You can also do bumblebees. You can do praying mantises. We have done praying mantises before too. So there's a lot of different great informational stories. Gail Gibbons has great ones that if you want to look at her books. The From Egg to Chicken is great. From Tadpole to Frog is wonderful. From Caterpillar to Butterfly is wonderful. Okay, and then I love making craftivities that goes along with these life cycles. So the praying mantis right here at the top is a lap book. And I'll share with you how I make my lap books in just a minute. But here's an example of the praying mantis, and then at the bottom is the chicken. Okay? So inside the lap book, anything that they write about gets stapled inside the lap book. Okay? So it's kind of like a book, but it's made from those colored file folders. And you can get a big box of those colored file folders from Walmart. Okay? We also make the butterfly. So we make a big butterfly, and then we show the life cycle of the butterfly. I bought on Amazon these plastic kits that show the life cycles of the butterfly, the ladybug, the frog, the chicken, praying mantis, okay? And so we also use those plastic models. After we read the book, the kids put them in order with their group, and then they draw the life cycle. So you can have them use those plastic animals if you want to. Of course, you can have them read the story. But here's the one from the ladybug, and it's really cute because his wings open up. So you put a brad at the top of the wings, and you can open up the wings, and inside the wings is the life cycle on the circle. It's really cute. And then they write first, then, next, and last. Here's the frog. The frog is really cute. If you like to hang stuff on your bulletin boards, guys, these are perfect for your spring bulletin boards. They will look absolutely awesome. So they can make a cute little frog. We do the red-eyed tree frog that goes with the rainforest. We do the blue morpho butterfly. That's why the butterfly is blue for the rainforest. And then they can do the life cycle on his tummy. And then they can make his legs. If you fold the legs accordion style back and forth, you can make the accordion style legs, which are really super cute. And then the tongue sticks out, and then you can roll the tongue. All right, so those are some ideas for life cycles. Again, if you click on the pictures, it'll take you to the bundle. I have a life cycle bundle, but you can also purchase these individually. So if you go to the bundle, and underneath the bundle, you scroll down to the bottom, it'll list all of the different life cycles that you can check out, okay? All right, so I'm going to pick my second winner. Ooh, let's see. How about Deborah Barry Pippin? Deborah Barry Pippin. Congratulations, Deborah. Deborah Barry Pippin. All right. So you can link below which resource that you would like for free. And if you don't remember, at the end of the webinar, I'll share them again, okay? Okay, moving on to research. So this is the anchor chart that I show my kids when we start learning about research, okay? Now, I tell them that research is also informational, but it's a little bit more in depth. It takes a little bit longer to finish. There's a lot of different steps. It's very detailed. It has a lot more components to it. So research may take a lot longer. So we just finished our Texas Animal Research Unit, and it took us 2 weeks. So each of my kiddos picked out a Texas animal to research. We made a lap book, and they put the animal on the front, and inside the lap book we stapled all the different templates inside. So we had templates about labeling the parts of the animal. We had life cycle. We had a story that they wrote at the very end. They had to compile all the facts together, and then they wrote a story about every fact that they learned about their animal. It was really awesome. It's really fun to see how much information they have learned. So every day I would read a different story, or we would watch a YouTube video of a different Texas animal. And then I had these skill cards that had all the information about the animal. So I put them in groups, and they were in charge of reading the skill card. So on the skill card, it would say, I'm a mammal. I have live babies. Or I'm an insect. I have 6 legs. My habitat is a garden. So it would talk about their characteristics. It would talk about their habitat. It would talk about their lifespan, their colors, what they ate, what their predators were. So I gave them all of that information, but they had to work as a group to come up with their answers. And so I had them sit around the room with different skull cards, and I had them laminated so I can use them again for next year. And then it was amazing to hear them have discussions about their animals. So like all the longhorn kids were together, and then all the monarch butterflies were together, and all the toads were together, and all the Guadalupe bass were together. And it was really fun. And then at the end, they wrote their story about their animal. So like I said, it takes a little bit longer to do the research, but it is so worth it because it really helps the kids understand that you can't just do this in one day. Okay, research takes time. And if you're a scientist and if you're researching something or researching a topic, it may take you years. It may take you years, okay? So first we talk about choosing a topic. So you can choose a person, people, animals, or event. Okay, that's what we did. We did an animal. Usually animals are easier to do with first graders. And then you search for information. When you search for information, you can look at books or the internet, or you can have interviews. And so we talk about what an interview is. Like if you wanted to learn more about how to be a teacher, you would talk to Miss Rickman, because I could tell you everything I need to know, you need to know about being a teacher. Okay? And then we organize information. You can make charts, you can write stories, you can write a thinking map. Okay? And then you present and share. So you have your lap book, you have a poster, or you have a project. And then you share with a partner, you share with the class or with a group, and then you share what you came up with. So that's the anchor chart that I use. So for endangered animals, endangered animals is a great segue. Rainforest lends itself to endangered animals as well. So endangered animals is a great way to do research. And the kids love these animals. So there's tigers, there's cheetahs, there's pandas, there's orangutans, there's elephants, all different kinds of animals that are endangered. And so these are some great stories that I like to read to them about endangered animals. And then we make these lap books. Okay? So, oh yay, June, you're doing a research project with your first graders. That's awesome. They're going to love it. So they pick an animal and they put the animal on the cover. And so again, I have them make the trees. They make the strips for the trees. They make the leaves at the top, and I give them, free roam of that. And so I show them an example, and then they have to create it themselves. So then anyway, we put the title on the cover. And so I've got sloth, koala bear, giant panda, lemur, elephant, spider monkey, and cheetah. And there's a little bit more in the resource as well. These are some templates that go inside of the lab book. Okay, so we have a map of the continents. They have to color the continent where their animal is from. So if they do the giant panda, I show them where China is. If they do the orangutan or the lemur, it's South America, the rainforest in South America. So I show them where the animal is from, or we also watch a YouTube about each different animal each day, and on the YouTube video I try to find a video that talks about where the animal is from and that shows a map. Okay, you could have them do a choice board. Like if you want to give them 4 choices, they draw 4 choices of different animals, but they only have to pick one. They're only picking one. So you could have them do a choice board first, and then here's a diagram of the sloth. So I have diagrams of each animal, and they label the parts of the animal. Here's a persuasive planning guide, so they could write their argument and then give reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, and then conclusion. I'll get into more of this in just a minute. And then my research animal report. They have to draw the diagram of the animal and their habitat right here. What is its diet? What is its habitat? What continent does it live on? Does this animal have fur, feathers, or scales? Is it a reptile, a mammal, a bird, a fish, or an insect? How long can it live, and who are its predators? Okay, so those are some questions they have to answer. And like I said, all of these templates get stapled into the lap book. Okay, so I don't go around right then and staple all the papers. I tell them, keep their lap book in. I have a big teal basket at the end of my desks, and they put all of their work that they're still working on, like the lap books, they go in that teal basket. So every page they do, they just slide inside the lap book. So after school, I may walk around and I may staple those, but I don't do it right away because not everyone's done right away. Okay? Now, if you also would like to do persuasive informational text about Earth Day, this is another great way to bring in Earth Day with rainforests also. Okay, so you can do a PBL, project-based learning. I have done this unit before, and I have this in my store as well. You're going to talk about paper, plastic, and metal, about how you can recycle those different products. There's a poem right here that you can do for the unit called We Recycle. You can have them write about their special animal, their habitat, the animal, the climate, and the bodies of water, and their habitat that they're researching. Then they're going to bring in recycled materials, and then they're going to build something, they're going to create something that goes in nature with those recycled materials. Okay, so then they're going to make a list of different materials. It can be boxes, it can be egg cartons, egg crates, bottles, plastic bottles, toilet paper rolls, whatever. And then this was when I had my kids work in groups, and then they had to come up with a design, and it's really fun for them to come up with a design. And so that what they did is they made a bird feeder. They came up with a bird feeder, and they had to write about it on their template right here. They had to draw a design, and then they had to write first, then next, and last. So it was a procedural text as well. How did they make it? And then, of course, showing their materials. And so it was really neat to hear them discussing how they were going to make the bird feeder and what kind of materials they were going to use and why this was going to work and why this was not going to work. So it was really a fun PBL. So I would recommend doing this at the towards the end of the year when your first graders are more capable of researching these things, or second grade would do great with this, or third grade would do great with this. Okay, so that's just another way to pull in the informational text. All right, now moving on to persuasive. Persuasive text is a text that tries to convince the reader to do something, to buy, to try, or to go somewhere. So again, these are my skill cards I take off my wall above my library, okay? And then I pull them off and then I read the skill cards to the kids so they know what genre we're talking about. I also have these cards in the resource. In these resources, I have this opinion sentence starters. So we talk about what an opinion is and what a fact is, okay? So they say, I believe, in my opinion, I prefer, everyone should, I think. There's also a lot more. So you can cut these apart. You can put them on your anchor chart, on your pocket chart, and then you can talk about, okay, I think that I can use this word in my story, or I'm going to use this sentence stem in my story. So these are basically sentence stems that you could have them write. So these are some books and mentor texts that I use for persuasive. Okay, The Easter Bunny's Assistant, Hey Little Ant, What Pet Should I Get? Why Should I Recycle? What If Everybody Did That? The Great Kapok Tree, of course. I Want a New Room, I Want to Go Home, and I Want an Iguana. So those are some of my favorites. So going back to the Rainforest project that I showed you earlier in the webinar, this is the persuasive planning part. So after they make the project, they make the trees, they put the animals, and they put the labels of the different layers of the rainforest, then we go back and we do a persuasive planning page. So they're going to write their argument, why should we save the rainforest? Okay, and then they're going to give reason number one. Well, they're getting cut down because they're building new homes or new streets or new factories or whatever. Reason number two, the animals are getting endangered. So they're giving facts about each reason, but they're using those sentence stems. In my opinion, or I think, or I believe, and they're giving those reasons, their sentence stems for their facts too. And then they're writing a conclusion. Then from there, they copy these sentences onto their writing template, and that's what gets stapled onto the bottom of their project. And these get, I really love these in the hallway. They look really beautiful, and they make a really nice bulletin board in the hallway. So, and it really helps them understand what persuasive texts are. The kids really seem to relate with rainforest really well because they know that the animals are endangered, and they really, really want to save those animals because they're so cute and furry, and they're really concerned about them. So I feel like the first graders really connect well with Rainforest. They love it. They just really love it. Okay, another thing you can do is write about, I want to be the Easter Bunny. And they're going to write about reasons why they would make a really good Easter Bunny. So you could read How to Catch an Easter Bunny, or The Easter Bunny's Assistant, and then they're going to fill out an Easter Bunny application. And they're going to give reasons why they would make a good Easter Bunny in the application. Okay? They're going to decorate an egg. They're going to make a decoration to show that they could make an Easter egg. Draw yourself as the Easter Bunny. And then, why should you be the Easter Bunny? Are you good at hide and seek? Yes or no? Can you be quiet? Yes or no? Do you like to travel around the world? Yes or no? What is your favorite jelly bean flavor? And can you hop? So they're going to give reasons why. It is so funny for them to write about this. And so then they can copy their application onto their story, and then the story is the body of the rabbit. So you can put the head at the top and the feet at the bottom. It is so cute. So you can click on the picture, and it'll take you straight to the resource. And this is actually a $1 deal, y'all. It's still a $1 deal today. So today is probably the last day it'll be a $1 deal. So you want to snag that real quick. Okay, here's some more persuasive texts. Now, Hey Little Ant is great for this. This is a great story. If you're not familiar with this book, it's about an ant that is trying to persuade the boy not to step on him and not to kill him. And then the roles are reversed. So then the ant is big and the boy is small, and then the ant is trying to get the boy to understand, if you kill me, this is what's going to happen. How would you feel if you did this? So it's a really, really good persuasive text. So I read this one. You can also read The Very Hungry Caterpillar, The Very Lonely Firefly, The Grouchy Ladybug. Here's why. I made these templates for perfect persuasion. So they're going to tell 3 reasons why or why not they would want to be a ladybug, or an ant, or a dragonfly, or a butterfly. Okay? So they're going to circle, would I want to be this animal, yes or no? And then they're going to give 3 reasons and then draw a picture. So this is an interactive notebook page that you can shrink down, and then you can put inside the notebook. And this is a freebie that I posted in my Facebook group a couple of days ago, maybe last week. And then they can color it and then put it in their notebook for reading. So it's really awesome. And if you don't want to do a whole craftivity for writing, this is a shorter version that you can have them do. And then it just goes straight into the notebook. So after I read those stories, then we talk about, why would you want to be an ant? Why or why not? Why would you want to be a butterfly? Why or why not? And so on and so on. Okay? So you can click on these. It'll go to Google Drive, and it's a freebie. Okay, so for Earth Day, these are some mentor texts for Earth Day. Again, persuasive texts that you can use. Why should I recycle? Okay. The Earth Book, what does it mean to be green? Recycle by Gail Gibbons. The Lorax. All these great Earth books are wonderful for persuasive. And then they're going to write persuasive story. Why should we help the Earth? Why should we save the Earth? Okay. So these are some cute craftivities. On Earth Day, I pledge to, we love our Earth because, and they're going to give reasons why they want to save the Earth. So you can click on these pictures for Earth Day, which is coming up on, I think it's April 22nd. That's a Friday. Okay, so Earth Day is coming up soon. Okay, so these are some other webinars that I have given before. If you're interested in downloading any of these, you can click on the pictures. So I have webinars on Writer's Workshop, Reader's Workshop, Focus Poetry, and then I have these creative fun webinars that were for each month. So I have January, February, March, April, May, August, September, October, November, December, which gives a preview of the month, what I teach. And then I also have Math Workshop, Guided Reading, and balanced literacy. Okay, so you can click on any of these guys and you can download it and look at it. I also have them all saved in my Facebook group. Okay, if you need a newsletter template, I have editable newsletter templates that you can edit yourself. You can add your name at the top here, and then you can fill in these boxes with different skills that you're teaching for the week. I have these for every month and every holiday. They're all different colors. They're all in color, but you can print them in black and white if you want. So you can check those out. You can click on the pictures. It'll take you straight to the resource if you need a template. And then if you need PD credit for today, just message me after the webinar is over, and then I will give you a certificate. I'll message it on Facebook. Okay, Messenger is usually the best way to get a hold of me. Okay, and then I will send it to you. Okay, all right. So we're gonna pick a third winner for the resources. Wow, you guys are doing lots of commenting. Okay, how about Brittany Fry? Brittany Fry. Okay, congratulations, Brittany. Okay, so my three winners today were Jennifer and Deborah and Brittany. So I'm going to go back really quickly to the beginning of the webinar. I'm going to show you guys what you can win. Okay? Because there's 4 different resources, okay? All right, so here it is, right here. You could win the Almost Gone Endangered Animal Unit, which I shared with you with the lap books, okay? Or you could win the Great Kapok Tree, which has the persuasive writing with the rainforest layers, okay? You could do From Tadpole to Frog, which has the lap books and the writing craftivity of the frog with the accordion legs. Or From Caterpillar to Butterfly, which has the lap book, the big blue butterfly that I showed you, the writing craftivity with the life cycle, and the lap book and the writing craftivity, okay? So you guys can message me there on Messenger, okay? And then if you guys have any questions, please ask right now, and I'm happy to answer your questions, because usually at the end I have a Q&A, okay? So like I said, I'm gonna put this in the Facebook group when we're finished in just a minute. You can download this webinar, and you can click on any of the pictures. It'll take you straight to the resources, okay? If you have any questions, please ask me. I'm happy to help you guys. Please feel free to post questions in our Facebook group. We haven't been getting a whole lot of questions lately, and I love it when you guys submit questions. And also I'm going to be giving away a $25 TPT gift card for the TPT sale that is Tuesday and Wednesday. So later this evening, I'm going to put I'm going to post that on our Facebook group, so you can enter the raffle to win a TPT gift card, okay, to spend in my store. So I don't know if there's any questions, but if you have one, you can certainly type it out, and you can I'll try to answer your questions in the comments if I didn't get to it, okay? So thank you guys for joining me today. Share this webinar with your teacher friends. If they're not in our Facebook group, please feel free to invite them in. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Enjoy your kiddos, and stay tuned for my next webinar in May, all about fairy tales. All right? All right, you guys take care. I love you, and have a great day. Bye-bye.